be great. And I'm just going to send one more message out on the Facebook, so that everyone else gets a reminder.
Yep.
How do we do this?
I don't think I've heard from anybody else saying they couldn't make it. So
yeah, so I know that a lot of people have been talking about coming, and I just don't want them to miss it.
Mm-hmm. It was funny with Julie yesterday because she hit the mailing list. So she then got the mailing list for the boot camp. She said, "Oh, I'm glad I got this email. I didn't know it was on." I went, "You got a bonus." You got week 5 of 5. But anyway, hope it was fun.
It was fun. Thank you it was great to be there.
Oh, that's good.
Good. Awesome. Okay, well, that's okay. I can do a small group today. That's wonderful, actually. So welcome, everyone. And just quickly, I thought we would go around and say hello. And maybe you could tell me what you'd like to get out of this course. So I know, well, according to what you think today, so then I can direct the content for you. Maybe you'd like to go first, Julie, since you're already unmuted.
I'm not the only one unmuted.
Yeah, I unmuted everybody. Yeah.
So I'm Julie Parker. I'm from Houston, Texas. I'm a face reader, and I show people who sell face-to-face how to maximize their conversations by knowing what features to look for both their ideal client and just in the sales process altogether. So I'm really looking for some help in articulating my story in a compelling manner, and to really be able to reach my ideal client and have that be compelling to them. So whatever help, I mean, I've been wanting to work with Jonathan for a long time, so this is really a treat. So
awesome.
Thank you.
Exciting. Well, thanks for joining. Awesome. Okay, so Queenie, maybe you could introduce yourself, and I'll just say hi to Jamie and the team at Mission Chamber of Commerce. Welcome. We're just going around and talking about our goals for the course. So Queenie's going to go.
Hi, I'm Queenie, and I'm Asia's lead parenting coach. I work with parents and teachers, and I teach them how to read children's cues so that they can be, more effective with their work with young children.
Awesome.
And I have a really long list of expectations here, but I'm not going to go through that list right now because it will probably scare you.
Hey, I like a good challenge. You want to throw one of them out there? We could do one.
Okay. Or we can do 5.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's for me, it's easy to churn out content. It's just how to structure it so that I can do a bit of seeding, and I can also, what we did in the last course, excite and educate. I'm sure there must be, if there's a format that I can follow, a structure where I can be more intentional with it, then I think I could write more purposefully, or I can podcast more purposefully. Because, I'm a teacher. I've been teaching for 16 years. I'm so used to giving out loads of information. Literally just taking a book, throwing it at somebody. So I'm hoping that I can be a little bit more intentional with that. And I think another one is about writing teasers. I was mentioning the other day that, normally after you write a blog or a podcast, you're so, mentally drained that you don't have any more creative juices to put teasers together. And you're like, oh, just put it out there, whatever it is,
Yeah.
just put it out there. And so, and I think that doesn't really do justice to the work that you have already put into a content. So I think those two would be, the things that I'd really like to brush up in the near future, I hope.
Awesome. I've got those things on the radar for you. That's great. Exciting. Okay. Well, thank you for letting us know. And that helps me know what to focus on for you as well. So it's good. Team Chamber, does anyone want to take the lead and let us know what your goals are for this course?
You have to unmute yourself, Joanne.
There, can you hear us?
Oh, you can now.
Okay. There we go. Hey guys, it's Joanne Chadwick and Janessa Soren over here. Dirksen, sorry, married now. So we're excited to be a part of it. I guess I like all the notes I've been hearing and the ideas that have been coming forward so far. We are here to learn everything and just really we have great ideas, but I guess really our goal is to take it to the next level and be able to put pen to paper and then actually get it going. and then words to screen, and however that goes. So, we're just here to suck it all up.
Awesome. Okay. Well, we're very hands-on.
I think there's a real opportunity for really being able to feature the quantum benefits of being chamber members. And I think you can really leverage that a lot more and sort of really show people.
Hey.
That's exciting.
Why you guys are so different than your average chamber? Because you are.
Okay.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for telling us. And Jamie, are you able to speak? Do you want to speak to that question, what your goals are for getting out of this course?
Well, my brain's a sponge. I love this stuff and I love learning, and every time you can learn something new is excellent. For me, I am hoping to learn, like Queenie said, structure, same with the chamber, putting ideas down to paper. I also need to learn how to motivate my doctors, because a lot of the blogs and stuff that are going to come are coming from them, because they're the educated ones and we have to be careful on what we say. But I also need to learn how to motivate them and how to get their ideas out and working.
Okay, I love that.
And learning how to edit.
Awesome. Okay, we're doing editing in 2 weeks, so make sure you show up for that course. And
Jamie has a brand new WordPress site, probably about a week away from launching, so this is ideal timing.
Great timing.
I'm excited for that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's great to know. Okay, so and that's with Stardust Medical Clinic. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct, yeah.
Awesome. All right, guys, thank you. So I'm Lindsay, and I have an intro in the presentation. So without further ado, I'd like to launch in. I hope you brought a pen and a paper and are ready to scribble down a few things. There's a couple of points which I'd like you to write down your ideas about as we go. So I'll let you know as we get there. All right.
Just so everybody knows, I'm in my car office, and I'm going to be listening and driving, so you won't see me, but I'll be hands-free listening, and I'll join the call as soon as I get to my other place.
That's awesome. Jonathan's going to be in on these calls, and he's going to be contributing when it comes to brainstorming and his creative ideas. So it's awesome to have that resource. Thank you. All right, so I'm going to share my screen, and hopefully you see just the PowerPoint slide and not my Facebook tab or my speaker's notes. Let me know if anything goes funny for you, and let's jump in. So this course is Power Content, and the purpose of the course is to get hands-on help to tell your story for your business. You're in the right place if you want to work on your blogs and content and figure out how they're going to work on your website and across your social platforms and even beyond that. So it sounds like everybody's here for the same general goals, which is wonderful. A little bit about me. I have 17 years experience in marketing, business development, and communications. I love the power of a good story, and I'm always the one who's encouraging people to get that out there, to tell people their story, to write it, because to me that communication is so essential and fun and important. Welcome whoever just came. We will get to you soon. So it all started for me when I was studying journalism in university, and then I worked in the newsroom in corporate PR. And now I build websites and I consult on web strategy. The one thread that ties everything together is storytelling. It's really the most integral part of your digital marketing strategy, is to be able to stand out online with that story that you tell and those beautiful pictures and videos to engage people. Recently, I helped grow the nonprofit society ADHDkidsrock.com to over 25,000 followers. We did that using blog posts and content, and we used that content to run a successful Kickstarter fundraising campaign, and it also got the attention of national media and public speaking gigs. So content, I've seen it be extremely powerful. I also do content with our clients. So I do VIP client consulting, and I do one-on-one strategy and training. So no question really is a dumb question. I've started people from the very beginning and walked them through creating meaningful content. So I'm here to help you. My style is to have a lot of feedback and discussion, group brainstorming, that sort of thing. So our coffee sessions and work sessions are really important parts of this course, because they're a chance for us to work together and really get into your content. So I hope you'll join us for them. I look forward to helping you in this course. And always feel free to reach out to me in the Facebook group or direct message me on Facebook if you have questions about our assignments. Working with Jonathan, I've been working with Jonathan for 7 years. We work together on clients, everything from their strategy and creative ideas to interviewing them and getting their stories out there. So we've done it for lots of companies, and we're happy to bring it to you in a course format. On the personal side, I'm a single mom. I have 3 kids. They are 15, 14, and 6 years old. I've built my business so that I'm available to them. And so I work from home, I teach from home, and it makes it really exciting that we can have this digital means of communicating. So that being said, a lot of the socializing that I see and that I do, and a lot of the reaching out and educating that I do is all based in the digital world. So I'm really feeling like I see what's going on quite around the digital space. My kids are fun, they're involved in music and BMX, and I love to tell stories about them once in a while on social media too, and thankfully they are not yet telling me, Mom, don't do that, don't do that. They're pretty cool usually with it. So, getting a little bit of feedback here on the mic. Does anybody, if you have feedback on your sound, please let me know. Jonathan, I think we're recording. Let me just double check that. Yes, we are recording. We're recording to the cloud, Jonathan. All right, so what does great content look like? Great content is the best sales tool in the world. This is a quote from Marcus Sheridan, the author of the Sales Lion blog. He's built a huge empire using content, and we'll talk about him a little bit later. So what does it look like? Well, I'm going to start with a story. Back in 2016, Unilever, a company that owns over 400 global brands, bought a small company for $1 billion. This company disrupted an entire industry by telling a great story. Unilever's North American president said that the purchase was made because this small company had deep connections with a highly engaged consumer base. How did it get this engagement? Well, it did an amazing job of understanding its clients' frustrations and telling a good story. Let's take a look.
Hi, I'm Mike, founder of DollarShaveClub.com. What is DollarShaveClub.com? Well, for $1 a month, we send high-quality razors right to your door. Yeah, $1. Are the blades any good? No. Our blades are f***ing great. Each razor has stainless steel blades, an aloe vera lubricating strip, and a pivot head. It's so gentle a toddler could use it. And do you like spending $20 a month on brand name razors? 19 go to Roger Federer. I'm good at tennis. Do you think your razor needs a vibrating handle, a flashlight, a back scratcher, and 10 blades? Your handsome-ass grandfather had 1 blade and polio. Looking good, Pop-Up! Stop paying for shave tech you don't need. And stop forgetting to buy your blades every month. Alejandro and I are going to ship it right to you. We're not just selling razors, we're also making new jobs. Alejandro, what were you doing last month?
Not working.
What are you doing now?
Working.
I'm no Vanderbilt, but this train makes hay. So stop forgetting to buy your blades every month and start deciding where you're going to stack all those dollar bills I'm saving you. We are DollarShaveClub.com, and the party is on.
All right, so did you know that that video has been viewed over 24 million times? And like I said, it landed a $1 billion deal for Dollar Shave Club. So what does this have to do with what we're studying right now? Well, what worked in his video? The things that worked in his video were he knew his customers really well. He understood their frustrations and the issues that they cared about, and he talked about those issues and frustrations in a funny, engaging way. And he was passionate about his solution. He resonated emotionally with his clients' frustrations, and and he talked about something that he loved. So let's take a look at what they've done. Now that they have that story, they've built out an entire content marketing system around the stories they tell in their business, and I'd like you to see how it works. Here's their blog. It's a lifestyle blog that appeals to the demographic they want to reach. The stories aren't about shaving and razors, though. Instead, they're funny things about grooming and other topics that would appeal to their probably male-oriented ideal audience. We'll talk more about this approach today of finding other stories that your audience will resonate with. And a lot of their blog posts are keyword rich, so they do help them get found on Google if they need that. But the top thing they're going for is to create a really engaging experience for their consumers. So it's a brand experience. And then they use the blog posts that they've created. They use them all across their social media platforms. So this is their Twitter account as an example. You see them showing up here. And in their Facebook, they're using their content on that site as well. So they're constantly feeding their social media properties with this really great content that they spent time to come up with. It is a system. It's a cross-platform strategy that helps you get more mileage out of your content. We'd like to help you create this kind of system that works in your business so that the hard work that you put into a blog post and the thoughtful content that you put together goes a lot further. It goes on your website, into your freebies and downloads, into your social media, your emails, your video, your audio, and your search engine optimization. Because you do all of that work, of course, you're sending a lot of traffic from social media to your website, and you're sending a lot of traffic from Google to your website. So we want to create a really amazing experience that converts people when they get there. So just a quick look, our course, here's our course outline. First of all, we'll ask you to identify your target audience and set some content goals, and we'll get into that a little bit today. And then over the next week, you've probably seen these topics on the course landing page. The format of the course is going to be a mix of lectures like this and work sessions, coffee sessions, where we turn off the PowerPoint and we talk to each other about what we're doing and we give each other ideas. I'll also be asking you to submit posts that you write on the Facebook group, and everybody will be invited to read those posts and comment on them and give feedback. And I'll also try to help you with your structuring and how you're setting up your posts. So please do your best to join us for the coffee sessions, submit your work for review on Facebook so that we can get the most out of this course for all of you. All right, so our agenda for today. My goal today is to help you get some fresh ideas for telling your story well. Then we'll assign some homework. It's not very much, but if you could plan to put a few hours in every week, that would really help. Next Wednesday, we'll do the coffee and work session. So bring your homework and we will discuss it together. And if you have any questions whatsoever, our Facebook group is open for you 24/7. You can pin it to your shortcuts. I don't know if you realize that. So here's a little slide just to show you. It's really easy to find your groups if you pin them to your shortcuts. They show up on the sidebar. All right, so is everybody with me? I'm going to jump into what stories will you tell in your business. So how do you figure out what stories you can tell in your business? Coming up with your content strategy starts with understanding your ideal audience and what they're looking for. Instead of shouting advertisements at your audience, content invites them into a conversation. So make sure you spend some time getting into the head of your ideal audience members. When I worked in the newsroom, our editorial team knew a lot about our readers' demographics and interests. We knew what sold papers, and that's what we produced. The editorial team planned content that readers would respond well to, about topics that we knew our readers cared about, and in the style of content that they liked the most. How did the newspaper know what the readers wanted? They used data and surveying, and they tracked what sold the most papers. So do a little digging and testing to find out what resonates with your clients, your readers, and see what they share, what they like to share, and what emails they open. Start paying attention to the feedback that they're giving you. In fact, I'm glad you brought a pen to our session today because I'd really like you to take 1 minute right now and jot down the answers to these questions. Who are you writing for? And get as specific as possible. If you're someone who has several different customer avatars, which some of our clients do, you'll want to flesh one of them out today just a little bit, but in the future, flesh each one of them out so that you understand these answers about each of them. So I will set the timer for 60 seconds, and please just see if you can answer these questions about your ideal client or your ideal writer, and then maybe a couple of people can share what they've written. Ready? Okay. 1 minute is on the timer. Go ahead and write down your answers. What are your clients' frustrations? What do they want to know? What do they want to achieve? What else do they care about in their whole life? And what kind of content do they like, comment, or share on social media? If you don't have the answers, that's fine. Okay, so that was a minute. So I'm going to stop the share, and I'm curious to know who had something they could write about their ideal client. Does anybody want to share first? We are going to go around, so everybody gets a turn. Okay, Queenie.
Okay. I think my ideal clients are parents of children ages 7 and below. If I want to get more specific, they will probably be in Asia, even though I know that a lot of them come from elsewhere. And I think that they want, the biggest pain point will be managing behaviors, like tantrums. They also want, this is a very Asian mentality where they want the children to be better than everybody else's and smarter than everybody else's. So they want quick fixes, which does not really happen, but that's what they're looking for. It's like taking paracetamol to fix the headache. They want quick fixes. And ultimately, they want to have well-behaved, very children who are respectful of their parents, who listen to everything they say, filial piety and all that. And they want, very bright, smart children who, do well in exams and all that. So far, my audience are responding to videos that are, bite-sized information. They like book reviews because they think that if they buy a certain book to read to the child, they can fix all of, the universe problems. And like bullet point quick tips. So I found that a lot of my podcasts, the shorter ones, get more downloads than the longer ones, like, the really in-depth interviews that last about 45 minutes, an hour. Those have very, very low engagement. So that's what I can see right now.
Awesome. All right. I know you've been doing a lot of testing things out and seeing what people respond to, which is brilliant. Super. So we're just going to quickly go through this with everybody. This time next week, we'll talk more in depth. Julie, do you want to go next? You're next on my screen.
Sure. So I'm writing for people who are selling face-to-face for a living. They're not getting the close ratios they want. They're having a hard time connecting with people, no clue why they're not connecting with them. Realize that relationships are important and that the first impressions are important. Also, interested in personality profiles. What else did I write down? They want tools. They want to expand and grow themselves personally and professionally. And open to new, possibly non-conventional ideas to do that. What else can I say? Kind of really at a loss, I think, for assuming they're doing really well, but not realizing they're really only having a monologue versus a dialogue with people.
Right. Okay. Assuming they're doing really. And have you thought about what other things they care about in life, or where they are maybe in their entire life and their life balance and all of that?
Probably no balance, because they're They're still pushing and going the wrong direction.
Okay.
So exhausted.
Okay, that's a useful piece. Awesome. Thank you, Julie. Moving forward, Jamie, do you want to share what you wrote?
Okay. Well, I work at a naturopath, so usually we see their frustrations are obviously their health. We do deal with a lot of cancer patients, so there's lots of frustrations there. What do they want to know? Well, obviously, they want to know healthier lifestyles. What kind of alternative health do they have? Lots of people don't want to do the pharmaceuticals. They don't want to go through chemo. They don't want to have surgery. So those are the things that they're interested in. What else do they want to, or what do they want to achieve? Well, obviously good health, longer lifestyle, longer life. They want to feel normal. That's what we get a lot, especially with, depression, anxiety, all of that is quite a big deal in our world, in our society. There's so much pressures and people just feel out of control. So they want to feel normal again. Most of our clients are very family oriented, but obviously because of the situation, I think too, is why we see that. And what do they want? Or what content do they want? Diets is a big one. and yeah, so there. That's what I got.
Fantastic. Awesome. When you talk about like they want to feel normal, like that might be a really deep one too. It's sort of like the quality of life.
But that's a touchy one too.
I bet.
Like,
yeah.
As far as what do we put out there is yeah, if you've ever gone to the truth about cancer, you'll see how touchy that is. Lots of info.
Yes. We'll talk a little bit later, just a little bit about bringing up controversial things in your marketing. And even though that is really touchy and you could go the wrong way, when something is as hot as that, it's probably a great place to dig. And there are ways of telling stories that are not coming from being the expert, and it's more maybe telling your clients' stories in that case. So yeah, awesome, thank you. And Team Chamber, what could you share with us about your ideal client or reader?
Well, we have a lot of them, 500 of them. So the details are their businesses and mission, all sizes. So home-based, small, medium, large. And I'm actually seeing a lot of stuff that goes across all of what I've heard so far is their frustrations are the same as anybody's: time and what the next steps they need to take. I think they want to achieve, some of them want to achieve expansion, but some people just are there to make connections. And what do they care about in life? Work, family, lifestyle balance. We hear that a lot. Relationships. And as far as content, they want knowledge on all these things that they're seeking to find. So I think knowledge-based content is what they're really looking for.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for sharing. All right, and Jessica is here with us, but she doesn't have a camera or a microphone. Jessica, if you want to add your comments to the chat box, I will make sure to look at them at least by the end of the class today. Thank you. All right, guys, I'm going to jump right back into the PowerPoint, but we'll jump out again for discussion soon. So these are some of the questions to dig into that we just talked about. And if you can write even more about this ideal audience this week, then please do that. Write as much as you can so you can really flesh it out and get ideas that are beyond what you've already written and beyond what you've already thought about. Another way to do this, of course, is to ask them questions. So if you didn't have all the answers about your ideal reader, or if you would like to go deeper into it, it's a great idea to just find them on social media or in email or in person and ask them, what are you struggling with right now? What do you do online? What are your interests? What do you wish was different in this world? You can get as big as you want because you never know where those great ideas come from, and you definitely want to try and get outside of the box. So when you put your customer first at the center of your content strategy, you create content that helps them to get to know you, like you, and trust you. So some examples: content that helps them get to know you or find you We make very shareable content, things that people love to share. So Queenie, when you were talking about people wanting quick fixes, maybe another way to do that is to do little infographics or charts, things that are visual and that people might want to share. If it makes them look good, they quite often want to share that content. So things that can go viral like that might help. And optimizing your content is something else that we're going to get into. So writing for SEO value will help more people find you. We just want to make sure that we keep the experience really fresh when they get to your site. Content to make people like you, funny shares, personal stories, face-to-face content, so client interviews can really increase the likability of your content. And then there's content to make people trust you. So once you've got them to like and know you, how can you make them really believe in you? And that's usually sharing proof. So client stories again, pieces of your portfolio or samples of your work. That sort of thing that's a little more heavy hitting will make them see that you're an expert. Queenie has some books and podcasts, all that range of content when you find her website that really makes you feel like, wow, I've found the expert that I was looking for. So it's very useful. Also, just showing how you've made a difference for someone or how you taught someone to do things. So maybe, Queenie, you could humanize your content a bit more by showing a story of how you helped a child or how you taught someone to do something. So the beginning, maybe what was wrong, and then the results, but really bringing the human quality to it. We're dealing with a different audience, of course, when we're talking about the Asian audience, so I'm learning from you as well, Queenie, but I think there's an angle there that could be useful. All right, so once we get beyond thinking about our ideal client, then it's a matter of figuring out what they want to know. At the most simple level, just think about what questions your ideal audience will be typing into Google when they're trying to solve the type of problem that you can help them with. It's amazing how far you can go with helpful content. If you create resources on your website, you can share them on social media in many, many different ways and make people feel like they've found a treasure trove of information when they get to your website. Some examples of this are frequently asked questions, how-to articles, guides, and tips on a regular basis. And Julie, I see on your website that you do quite a bit of tips and guides or tips and great ideas, and I love that angle, and I'm sure we can dig more into that as well. These ideas that are helpful to your clients are also usually full of keywords just naturally, which is a great strategy. I don't know if you've seen this example before, but this is a really classic example of this strategy working in content marketing. In 2008, Marcus Sheridan owned a pool company that was on the brink of going under in the recession. So he tried something. He had his team write blogs for the website that answered all the customers' questions really well in one spot. And it really worked. It massively boosted his search engine rankings. It made people want to read his website and get involved, and it set him up to be the expert in his field. There was just so much information on his website that he got raving fans. So because he created this amazing research and really dug into the questions that his ideal customers were asking and then answered them all, it made him a very powerful leader in the pool industry. If you're wondering about keywords, this is a keyword strategy, yes, and we have our SEO expert coming mid-November to talk to you about keyword research and optimizing for search engines. But I don't want you to start with that. I just want to reiterate that it's more about the experience you're creating for your ideal customers once they get to your website or when they see you on social media, rather than just creating dry content that's good for robots. So if you want to see this website, I can put the link up in the Facebook group after the class to this website and any other websites we covered today. Here's a quote from Marcus Sheridan. It says, "On our site, we literally answer every question a consumer could possibly have about buying a fiberglass pool." So that's it. Literally answer every question your consumers could possibly have. And that's a great, all by itself, a really great starting strategy. So let's take a minute right now and we'll jump off of the share. And if you can think of your ideal customer that you told me about from the previous stop. What are all the questions that you can think of in 1 minute that might drive them to Google you, to Google something that will land at your website? Just a brainstorm. You may already have some of this content on your website, you may not. Just start writing in 1 second and see where you end up if you brainstorm those questions. So I'm setting the timer for 1 minute right now. All right. That was close as I could get to a minute. So let's just jump off of the PowerPoint now, and we can just briefly tell each other. Can you tell me if you came up with any questions you hadn't thought of before, or if you think there's more you can do to dig into these basic questions? Who wants to go first? All right, Jamie, do you feel like you guys are answering the questions that your customers would probably be Googling yet?
Not yet, not all of it, but we are starting to address some, like what is a naturopath? What is naturopath medicine? What do they cover? We get lots of questions about detox diets, IV therapy, and what I like to call magic machine, which is our neural feedback, which is good for like post-traumatic stress, anxiety, etc., sleep disorders.
Okay. So that's approaching it from the treatment side, and are you also approaching it from the flip side, which is, you know, if I was Googling how do I deal with PTSD, how do I deal with this diagnosis, that problem, low energy, are you approaching your list of questions from the customer side as well?
I try to, yes.
Good. Okay, great. So I have a spreadsheet template for you at the end of the day today. If you don't have somewhere that you're tracking all the questions that come up regularly, please grab that and create your spreadsheet. And from now until the end of time, just keep tracking those ideas as you get them. Awesome. Okay, Julie, would you mind going next?
Sure. And I'm glad you asked that question because I'm still having a hard time coming up with questions that people might... I mean, I'm listening for those questions as I do this. What I came up with was like looking for the most effective personality profile,
Okay.
like the art of connecting with people, art of conversations, assistance or help in networking more efficiently and effectively, listening skills, NLP, selling help, learning to close, and then like I guess looking for books on who like the gurus in sales like Zig Ziglar and some of the other people that are big names. That's kind of what I came up with so far, but this is a work in progress.
Okay, awesome. Have you done anything to flesh out those, for example, like the big books or the big speakers on it? Have you aligned any content with them? Okay.
Not yet.
Okay, clearly you're thinking about it. It's good. Awesome, thank you. Queenie, did you want to share that one?
Yeah. I interact with parents quite frequently, and it's good that I have like almost 100 podcasts, so I can just shortcut and say, okay, go to this link, go to that link, and I don't have to explain the whole thing. I mean, that's the reason why I podcast in the first place. But the one that keeps on coming up, and this is a big Asian problem, is to spank or not to spank.
Okay.
It keeps on coming up. And I was telling you today that, I was talking to a parent and, I said, when is it okay for a human being to hit another human being? She said, it's not okay unless you're hitting a child, then it's okay. And I was like face palm. And so I think that's one of the major ones. Am I spoiling my children? It's like, apples go bad. They think that if they show a lot of affection, they will spoil their children. That's the perception. how to have smarter children, children who can ace, exams and stuff like that. And there's been a push down, approach recently, where it used to be that when you go to like elementary school, you learn to read and write. But schools have implemented like pre-entrance exams. So they're pushing down the reading and writing to like preschool age. And these children are not ready yet and nobody knows how to do it properly. So, and parents are doing everything. They literally took a concept out of the psychology textbooks and they misinterpreted it, where children are like sponges. They learn really fast. So they try to cram everything into the poor child. And it's just counterproductive because it creates a child who's very anxious, and anxiety leads to no learning. Guilt-free parenting is another one. A lot of parents tell me that they feel very, guilty when they parent. They are, they're never around and they're working full time. And I think recently I've created quite a lot of buzz around, increasing children's EQ, emotional awareness. So, I'm seeing a lot of that coming up as well. So that's just like a quarter of the list. It goes on. Yeah.
And do you have it's great though. I'm glad you said that, because when you're working in the field with clients, you're constantly getting that filled up. You're always understanding what's in their head and what's in their, and to think in terms of creating a piece of content whenever they're asking the same question over and over, or you find yourself writing the same email all the time to answer the same question. Queenie's got it. It's having a piece of content that will fill that need.
Yeah.
Awesome. I love that you're also developing the EQ idea, because to me that's got a little bit of that credibility that maybe the Asian market is looking for, but it's an idea that you can fill full of what you really care about. So I like that. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. Team Chamber, did you come up with questions?
Yes. I think we're quite lucky in the fact that we have a template to go off of compared to maybe other people. So it's Chambers use the same websites basically with the same content. So awesome. I think we do an okay job answering questions.
Great.
Certainly if we do get them over and over again, we try and add that without becoming just a convoluted of drop-down menus all over the place. So we can always do better. But people are doing the very basic, like what is a chamber? How do we join? Why join? Those kinds of things.
Yeah.
So we're pretty back down to basics. And then of course, people that are already members want to know when the next event is, that sort of thing. Yeah. Does that make sense, Jessa?
Yeah. Okay. And how are you telling that basic story that would bring new clients in? Are you telling it in sort of a boring blog post, or are you sharing that in a great video? What's your approach to that?
It's very static. I think it's very clinical right now. I don't think
Except for
our videos.
Like our Facebook through social media, it does go through the exciting point of like our exciting events and like different like networking things. We've really tapped into that. But yeah, otherwise, yeah, it's clinical.
It's not crossing the platforms like you said.
Oh yeah.
On our website, it's very clinical and very professional or whatever. And then where we get the personality is more in obviously social media. If you watched any of our videos, the social media stuff sort of plays into that. We haven't crossed the platforms at all.
Okay. I would suggest, if you haven't already thought of it, grabbing each of those really boring basic questions and making them into a beautiful photo with an overlay image. So overlay the question on a real person's face image and drive some engagement by those things. And you can use those images too on your website and across your social platforms. And you might feel like you already told the story once by creating the video once, but telling the story again and again in different ways makes it your brand story. So
absolutely. We have a constantly evolving membership, so we do tell the story over and over again, but I love that idea. That's great. Thank you.
Yeah, awesome. It's all about creating that kind of, finding ways to get more emotional buy-in from your readers.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you. This is fun. All right, I'm going to jump back into that boring old PowerPoint, and I've got some more points to make. Okay, so another approach to answering every question that your readers might have is to organize it by the information they need in order to make a purchase from you. So there are different buying phases in the buyer's journey, different phases in the buyer's journey. These are things that you can look up on the internet. There's lots and lots of articles about it, but in brief, these are what they are. The first one is awareness. So in the beginning, the reader might not even know they have a problem that needs a solution, and they may not be aware at all of your brand or your solution. So you need to be discovered, and you can use content, obviously out in social media world, to help people know about you, to help get discovered and get in front of them. Ways to do this are to post frequently, and then of course to be engaging and to learn the other things that you've been learning about social media. The second stage is consideration. So this is when the buyer is looking at different options. So they're weighing your competitor or another solution, or maybe even the option to not do anything at all against you. So it helps to explain your story well, explain your solutions well, and appeal to them on that emotional level that we're talking about too. So you can show how you compare to other options, you can use charts, you can use pricing models, whatever it takes to show how you are the standout solution to all of the other potential options your buyer could choose. Like Julie, everybody who wants to learn how to network and sell, they might not even realize it's possible to work with someone who has the knowledge and expertise that you have. They might be reading books and they might be doing other things. So you kind of, that's your competition, is all of the other options they have to learn to get good at selling. So you have to bring yourself into alignment and position your solution according to all that other stuff with your content. Number 3 here is decision. So the buyer is getting ready to choose a solution and make a decision. This is where you knock it over. I don't even know what the sports analogy is for that, but you really, really push that through. You build trust and credibility in your stories. You show your expertise, or even just show how you work and how you figure things out, and help them make the decision to go with you because they really believe in you and they emotionally trust you. So now in your list of topics that you've written down, do you have any topics that you can think of that somebody would be, that they would want to share with their friends or their colleagues because they've got a wow factor? So is there anything that you can think of in that list that you could create so they could spread it? Does that make sense? I'm going to stop the share because I'm not sure I've worded that in a way you understand. So a piece of content that you could create to raise awareness. Somebody sees it, it answers their question when they Google, but they love it so much that they want to share it. So the team, the Mission Chamber of Commerce team, that idea that we talked about, you could create something so shareable that it goes almost viral because it's so interesting. And suddenly people see why Chamber of Commerce is a wonderful answer to what they're looking for, right? That connection, all of those pieces. So Julie and Queenie and Jamie and Jessica, I don't want to forget about Jessica just because she's not on camera. What could you create in your content? You could answer one of their questions that they're Googling for. Can you imagine something that'd be so exciting that they would just want to share it with everyone? Julie, do you have an idea?
Well, I've already done this, but I just want to throw it out there to see what you think. So I've got 4 meetup groups, tour sales and tour networking, and I'm kind of like watching what's happening in the networking groups so I can kind of get stories from that and share with my Facebook live stream or something. So talking about, when you go to a networking meeting, how often are you sitting there in a conversation with someone, they're like hanging on to you and spending so much time, and it's like making the conversation more efficient where like, well, I've come up with I just come up with a few tips for people to help them network more efficiently and more comfortably. And it turned out to be this long page of tips.
Oh, cool.
Just the things I've experienced. So I thought I would write a blog or do a video on it and say, hey, if you're interested in these tips, I've got some great strategies that you can use to help you maximize your time and really make your intentions happen when you're networking. So it's either not uncomfortable or you're not stuck talking to somebody for way too long or whatever. So that could be I've already done something similar, but I haven't kind of gone to that extreme with it with the PDF of the tips and stuff. So that's one.
Yeah, definitely. And even sometimes, thank you. Sometimes when you have a really, really long document or a video, people might not get into it. They might not go through it. So even breaking it down into even smaller chunks, like Queenie says about the really short sound bites that people might pick up. So that could just be one tip at a time on a graphic. But could you imagine that you could share that one tip on LinkedIn and Instagram and Facebook, and it's just one tip at a time, and you have a whole series of them?
I love that.
Could be really fun, right?
Yeah.
And then
Awesome.
when you drive you drive them to your website at that point. Yeah.
Awesome.
All right. Does anybody else have an idea about making something that really catches on fire? All right. That's okay. Jessica says I can't, unfortunately. I get really stuck with this stuff. That's okay. That's what we're talking about more next week, but more in a more hands-on way. Jamie, did you have something? Okay.
I've actually kind of started a blog on that little magic machine I was talking about, neural feedback, because now I have worked with it long enough that I have seen the people that come in at the beginning just at their wits' end. They don't know what is going on and how can they just feel normal again, to doing a lot of sessions on the neural feedback, to living a life like from anxiety ridden that can't leave your house to now she's driving a car and even going into Vancouver. So I've been kind of writing a blog about how I've seen patients or people that have come through the other end of it, and that it is really life-changing. But yeah. I realize I don't have a lot of words and I need to get a bigger vocabulary.
Life-changing. Yeah, no, that's great. I love that. And that's almost like one of those decision clinchers. So if I was looking for a solution for my problem, that would really help me make that final buying decision, which is wonderful. Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. All right, you guys, we're running kind of late. Queenie, did you have an idea?
Yeah, I don't. Recently, I had a video that I shot in my pajamas. That went crazy. You know, it had like 10,000 views and all. I haven't really tried to figure out how much I can share, but probably quite a lot. And what I did was I found that I accidentally cross-thread a few of those questions that parents have, and I actually talked about entitlement, how children ask and they get, and they keep on asking for it. And I was trying to link that together with a screen addiction, how children nowadays jump on their screens all the time. So I've linked both of it together, and people thought that makes a lot of sense because, it's the modern day issue that a lot of parents see. And I think that, and I think Jonathan was saying this the other day. He says that, if there's something current happening, you need to jump on it.
Mm-hmm.
So these are some of the issues that are, coming up quite a lot, especially for the slightly older children, those who are preparing to go to elementary school. Yeah.
Awesome. So when you hit on a really hot topic like that in your Facebook Live video, make sure that you use that again, right? You could revisit that in so many different ways. I'm sure you understand.
Yeah, I got my VA to try to download the video and upload it to my YouTube channel. And I told her to, take the audio out and put it on my podcast as well, so that I don't have to keep on creating stuff. I can just repurpose it. Yeah. And
definitely you could go further. You could do a graphic even about the topic, your key takeaway from that video that people really resonated with.
Yeah.
And then you could also do a blog post specifically about that one little point about how the screen time is making children feel entitled. It's really interesting because as a parent, I totally resonate with that. I feel like sometimes my kids treat me like Google, like, Mom, now. So it's a good one. Yes. Awesome. Yep. Thank you. I have a question from, Jen. Okay, we're good. I'm just checking the chat box as we go. All right, you guys, we are getting awfully close to 11, and I have not gotten through the entire presentation, so I'm going to try and hit some of the highlights. If you can stay, I'd love it if you'd stay. If you can't stay, I'm going to record the entire thing, and then I will share it in the Facebook group so you can catch the rest of it after. It includes some homework, but I will separately post that homework in the separate group as well. The homework is just really to continue with profiling your ideal client until you really have a picture and a really good sense of who that person is, to list your top questions and to come up with some blog post ideas that we can work on with you in the next few weeks. So it's just your first go at what 3 topics do you want to work on? And we'll be talking about that. And if we feel like you've got the right strategy, or maybe we could add to your strategy next week, we'll be doing that as well. All right, so I'm going to jump back into the PowerPoint. Okay, so we talked about the steps that a person goes through when they're about to make a purchase. Here's an example of a blog post that we did for one of our clients. This one actually we sent out over email newsletter, and it resulted in sales right away because it was the right information at the right time. So the blog post is what to look for in a quote for kitchen cabinetry or bathroom cabinetry. And it went through a whole lot of different factors, comparing what some contractor companies do, what kinds of quotes they give, what kinds of extras you might get hit with afterwards, and positioning our client, Elite Kitchens, as having a quote that included everything so that there were no surprises. So again, this was a post really based on that buying decision. When people are looking for kitchen cabinets, here's the information they need. And then the simplest thing for them to do was to call. And it worked really well. I want to spotlight one of our clients here again, Tamlin Homes. Tamlin will be taking this course with us. Tamlin builds award-winning custom home packages in a factory. Then they ship these packaged homes across North America and internationally. They're a really interesting company with, I think, 30 or 40 years experience in what they do, which is amazing. So they had a lot of information in their office. They sent out PDFs to clients. They had lots of emails. They knew how to walk a client through the sales. They knew how to explain their process to their clients, but they didn't have all the materials actually created and available on their website. So when we did a new website for them last year, we realized that their sales team was always dealing with phone calls and questions from people at all different phases of the buying cycle. Some people who weren't even ready to buy at all, but the only way to build their dream of having a Tamlin house one day was to call the company and get some pictures. So we really fleshed this level of content out. And that's where we created guides and books, including all of Tamlin's beautiful designs and how in the process of working with Tamlin. So we reduced the number of phone calls they get from people who aren't ready to buy. And we created this PDF or these PDFs that a shopper could download and they could print and they could take home and or take to bed with their spouse and build that dream without having to call Tamlin, just stuff off their website that they could really move themselves forward in the buying process, if that makes sense. We also answered every question we could come up with that clients frequently answered, and we answered them on the website. So it's become a great resource for their potential clients. It's led to lots of great leads, and it's giving them all kinds of search engine optimization out of it as well. So the key success factors for Tamlin was they had the right content for their clients at the right time in the buying process. It gets them quality leads from people who download their guides every single day and night. And then the last piece is that they respond. So when they get somebody to sign up and download a book, or when they get somebody who regularly is on their website, they're responding to them. They're using it in their sales system. They're not just letting that person be a faceless downloader. So that's very helpful, is to have that full circle. And then we get into what else people care about. So there's so much content online and it answers people's questions, usually, hopefully, but a lot of it is poorly written or dull, and it's just done to get search engine rankings or get the job done. So one thing that I'm really passionate about is to stop making zombie content, to create content that's well written and engaging. This is a great quote if you want to read it for a minute. And it's all about the zombification of content marketing. So here's one that I shared in the group. If your stories are all about your products and services, that's not storytelling, it's a brochure. So give yourself permission to make that story bigger. This guy is an amazing content marketer, Jay Bear. Feel free to look him up online. So one way to get into a bigger story is to figure out what you stand for and what you stand against. What are your values? You can take a stand like the company in the next video.
Okay, so I'm gonna just give you some actions to do and just do the first thing that comes to mind. Show me what it looks like to run like a girl. Show me what it looks like to fight like a girl. Now throw like a girl.
Aww. My name is Dakota, and I'm 10 years old.
Show me what it looks like to run like a girl. Throw like a girl. Fight like a girl. What does it mean to you when I say run like a girl?
It means run fast as you can.
So do you think you just insulted your sister?
No. I mean, yeah, insulted girls, but not my sister.
Is like a girl a good thing?
Actually, I don't know if it's a bad thing or a good thing. Sounds like a bad thing. Sounds like you're trying to humiliate someone.
So when they're in that vulnerable time between 10 and 12, how do you think it affects them when somebody uses like a girl as an insult?
I think it definitely drops their self-confidence and really puts them down, because during that time, they're already trying to figure themselves out. And when somebody says you hit like a girl, it's like, well, what does that mean? Because they think they're a strong person. It's kind of like telling them that they're weak and they're not as good as.
And what advice do you have to young girls who are told they run like a girl, kick like a girl, hit like a girl, swim like a girl?
Keep doing it because it's working. Somebody else says that running like a girl or kicking like a girl or shooting like a girl is something that you shouldn't be doing. That's their problem, because if you're still scoring and you're still getting the ball on time and you're still being first, you're doing it right. It doesn't matter what they say. I mean, yes, I kick like a girl and I swim like a girl and I walk like a girl and I wake up in the morning like a girl because I am a girl. And that's not something that I should be ashamed of. So I'm going to do it anyway. That's what they should do.
If I asked you to run like a girl now, would you do it differently?
I would run like myself.
You like a chance to redo it?
Why can't run like a girl also mean win the race?
All right, so Always is a product that most people don't want to read blog posts about. I think you might agree with me on that one. So they took up a bigger story. They took up the fight for self-esteem for young women. And they've invested a lot into this campaign, and it's not at all about their products. But suddenly they have something that resonates emotionally with their ideal customers. And this is where you can take your content from the search engine friendly posts and the posts that are like everyone else's to standing on a platform that is uniquely what you believe in and what you think and what people will resonate with. So for each of you, I think there are bigger stories that you can find to tell, and I challenge you in this course to think about those things and look for those things. Always uses this platform everywhere, and it set their marketing on fire when they came out with it. They've got a hashtag like a girl, it's on their website, it's on their social media. Here's an example of their Instagram and their Facebook. And they've used it to really step up as a leading company. They're involved with the United Nations Women and with the TED Talks. So this one story in taking a stand on something has been extremely strong for them for leverage. So I challenge you to think beyond that box. Taking a stand, even in a small way, can massively improve your branding. We have a client and actually a colleague who works with us. And when we worked on her branding in the beginning, we were talking about her messaging. She was really, really great at what she did. But the way she explained it wasn't very exciting. She said, I'm a sales coach and I do business consulting, and those are the things that I need to communicate. Then you asked her, what do you stand for and what do you stand against? And you light her on fire. I'm against business owners working 24/7. I'm against business owners being slaves to the same business they built in order to achieve financial freedom. I'm against smart business owners going under just because they don't know how to consistently make sales. I know I can help them. Fleshing out the things that you really are passionate about in your content and in your messaging is so much stronger than the safe messages that we often default to. So the questions are, what do you stand for? And what do you stand against? And if you start to think about those, hopefully they will bring some of your passion to your content. Beyond that, somebody mentioned that Jonathan had talked about bringing up things that are in the news. The same things that make a news story worth printing in a newspaper is what makes it worth sharing on social media quite often. So as a journalism student, I learned these criteria to help you find a newsworthy angle to your story, and they're still relevant when you're talking about things to share on social media or on your blog. So anytime you're writing something, see if you can include one of these angles to make your story more relevant. Is it timely? Is it local? And in our digital world, local can really mean specific to your community. Does it have impact, heavier impact, a reason why people should care? Can you write about something that's novel or rare or unique? Can you write an opinion or a conflict or controversy piece? You know how scandal really sells? Well, not getting into scandal, but controversy definitely brings eyes to your pieces. Can you write something of human interest, or can you bring a famous person or a prominent figure in? In Canada, we just lost one of our big cultural icons, the lead singer of the tragically hip band, Gord Downie, and it's all over the news today, and everybody is incredibly saddened, but also brought together by this news story. So it's timely, and it's got a huge human interest angle, and it's a prominent figure, and it gets our emotions going very, very quickly that we're all in this together. Here's an example of a piece I did with one of my clients, the ADHDkidsrock.com nonprofit society. He picked a topic that's really controversial, which is ADHD medication. And he wrote his opinion and his real life experience on it. This one was huge. It blew up. It got hundreds of comments on the website and on Facebook and social media. It got tens of thousands of views, and it continues to get hits on a daily basis. It also landed an interview with the CBC Radio national media. So finding the controversial things that you can talk about and bringing your voice into the discussion can be a real way to stand out as well. The last thing I want to talk about today is this. People want their content in a newsfeed. We can no longer write blog posts that live just on our website. We have to find ways to incorporate our social media and our website. When people are on social media, they're not on properties that we own or control, but they're on social media all the time. So we have to get their attention there. And then hopefully we drive them to our website. Not every time, but hopefully it brings them to our website where they really get the full experience of what we stand for. So having something substantial that you share across all your social media platforms and a story you tell, a thread that kind of goes through your long-term posts can help you stay visible and keep you remembered. Then they decide whether to engage with you more deeply or not. Have you ever clicked through to read a post like this from a website like BuzzFeed, Elephant Journal, or even Humans of New York? Great content in our news feeds has the ability to make us stop and pay attention. And all of these really big content websites drive tons of traffic every day by sharing blog posts on social media. So it's not a boring, dry thing. It's a very relevant thing that people are very involved in. Here's a more corporate example. Last month, I noticed a Facebook ad from the company Wealthsimple. They were running Facebook ads to content on their blog. They launched this really big, beautiful content marketing campaign based on what their ideal clients care about, which is money. Now that can be a really boring topic, but instead of making it dry, they brought a lot of human interest to it. They're running a series of 250 interviews with real people talking about money. This is really, really engaging stuff for their audience. So the Facebook ads led to their website where they have a section called Magazine, and they have all of these beautiful matching blog post articles that are just based on interviews, which aren't a very complicated thing to do. And at the bottom of each post, they have other stories, and some of those stories are really just promotional stories, which is an interesting thing to do. You just don't need to, you can treat it differently. You don't need to put it all over social media if it's promotional, but when people come for your great content, they can also get your promotional stuff. And here's what it looks like. They did the interviews as videos, so it's on their YouTube channel, and it's on their Facebook. Both the interviews and the written pieces, both the videos and the written pieces are on their social media. And here's their Twitter. So it's a really beautiful, very coordinated campaign, but it's based on the idea of putting great content out into their social media that drives traffic into their brand. So I hope that resonates for you. And now we're getting into this week's assignment. So again, as we mentioned earlier, this week, let's work on fleshing out who we're writing for, trying to get really specific as to what they want to know, even following them or looking at what they're doing on social media, what other content they like to engage with or share on social media. Not be a stalker, but a little bit be a stalker. Try to fill in the big picture, really understand these people, maybe center in on one or two actual people that you can understand really well, and you have a picture and you have all the details about them. Like I did this one of Jonathan. It's too bad that he doesn't see it.
I can see it.
Oh, I thought you were still getting out of your car.
No, I've been long back.
Awesome. Okay, and then come up with at least 3 ideas for your blog posts that you'd like to write. Or they can be for videos or any content that you want to create. But let's start coming up with ideas, and then next week, if we could each share our ideas, and then we'll start writing on them. So you can use content that you've already written. You can use frequently asked questions that you've answered in customer emails. You can use your brochures or your sales or marketing content. Just sort of keep track of, come up with new content ideas and then keep track of it. So I'll put this little slide up in the Facebook group. And if you want to create a Google spreadsheet or an Excel spreadsheet to start tracking your ideas, it's a really great thing to have a running tally of all your ideas. Just one place where you know in the middle of the night when you come up with an idea, scribble it down, and in the morning this is where you're going to put it. So it's very helpful because ideas are fleeting things. One more tip is to grab your phone and start documenting things on a regular basis. It'll build up some material for you that you can use in your real world content creation. So if you get real pictures of your clients or work that you're doing or places you're going, start taking those pictures because you're going to want to use them in your content as well as in your social media. Even things that you do every day in your business. If you're sitting at your desk, take a picture of your workstation, all of that stuff, and start building this resource that you can draw on of your own content and your own ideas. And of course, start thinking of how you're going to tell your stories. So if you don't feel like you're a writer, maybe grab an app or figure out how to use the voice recognition, voice to text on your phone. You can record audio files and have them transcribed. You can do stories by interviewing other people, and you can do videos and transcribe them too. So the key this week is to get those wheels turning and start thinking how you're going to flex your content muscle. So I'll put this slide up in the group. This is just a recap of what we talked about. And get ready to share your homework and your ideas with the group and give each other feedback like we did a little bit today. And I'll see you for our next coffee session next week at 10 o'clock a.m., same place, and bring your ideas and your homework again. If you need help in the meantime, or if you want to share your ideas ahead of time, go for it. The more feedback and the more sharing we can have, the better we'll all be. Again, here's the Facebook group. Here's how to pin it to your shortcuts. And remember, Nobody started off awesome. 99.9% of great bloggers are not awesome on day one. Their awesomeness is the accumulation of the value they create over time. So go out and let's be awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Awesome.
Yay!
Yay! So thank you guys for bringing your energy and your ideas. I'm really excited to get this rolling with you. Like I said, last time we ran the course, we did a lot of sharing in the group, so please feel free to be the first one to put it in there and ask for feedback. I'll start a thread today where everybody can, put a little introduction and maybe a link to your blog. That would be really great. Or if you don't have a blog, a link to something, that'd be fine. And then we can start keeping an eye on each other. All right.
Sounds great.
Great. And did that resonate with you? Did you have any questions right away before we go about what to do this week? No? Okay. Great.
So we also meet tomorrow again. Virtual coffee is at 10 o'clock. That's more general around social posting, and like we were talking about the Me Too movement the other day. And I always try and bring up what's relevant to help you just find some new content to share.
Yeah.
Very specifically, each Wednesday, we'll talk about content marketing. I also know that tomorrow in the team chamber, somebody might be getting a new job. Rumor.
Half and half.
That's exciting.
I'll still be here with Westside though.
Yeah. So Janessa is moving on to become assistant manager at a Earl's restaurant, I think.
Oh, wow.
Going back to where I started.
Yeah, but she's still going to be in the course and helping us, so
Yeah.
maybe not as live as this, so
Yeah, I'll still be working with Westside.
good for you.
Great. Congrats.
All right.
Okay. You
Thanks,
guys.
Elsie.
Thanks for staying late with us. I appreciate it. Bye. Take
Bye,
care.
everyone.
See you later. See you next week. Bye, Jessica. Thanks for joining us.